All right, good afternoon, everyone. It's 1 p.m. and I'm happy that I can join you today on this FM lunch hour. We do this every Thursday. And today we're continuing with the professional FM series, which we started last week. I'm going to run this through several months, and I hope you will all take time, invite your friends and colleagues, and let everyone partake and enjoy this. I also want to note that all our previous sessions, all the workplace productivity series we've gone through in the last year, all on our YouTube channel. Actively spend time watching and engaging with this content to get better at what you do. Because it's free. It's free. And I hope you can take advantage of it. Talking about what's happening this week, we had a high impact course for 3 days ending today. So if you have refresher programs after you've taken the FM diploma, you're invited to monthly high impact courses on different topics. We have courses on FM safety, project management for facility management. We have courses on FM operations, FM strategy, facility maintenance, planning. We have short high impact courses for organizations on contracting and procurement, CMMS and technology, workshops for generator maintenance, elevators, electrical, HVAC, and all of those, plumbing and sewage. We can bring this training to your organization for a very small fee and run them at your sites for convenience of your team members. So the FM diploma that's been scheduled for September 9th, we moved it from August 19th to September 9th, is still on course, still actively recruiting. Many of you here might have participated in the FM diploma before, but you still have, some work to do for us in, advocating and selling the program to your colleagues and making sure everyone that needs to be in it are able to come in. I know how it is when you hear the price of the training and the first thing that comes to your mind is, it's expensive, right? But if you talk to those who have been through the program, they will tell you that it was expensive before they got in, right? So by the time they got in 1 class, 2 class, 3 classes, they are sold and they begin to say, thank you for bringing this to us at this price. Because it's not so much about the money for us, it's much more about the impact you are making in the FM industry in Africa, and we want you to partake in it. And to make that more accessible and widespread to everyone, we have made the first class we have on the 9th of September is going to be open to the public. The link for that we'll start sharing very soon. We're going to advertise it, widely. We expect some 300-400 people in that session. The whole idea is to whet your appetite, just give you some glimpse into what the program is. Look at the structure of the program, look at the content, look at the facilitators. Just engage for free on an introductory day, and then you can still decide as you want to be in the program. Because even for those who did not join on the by the 9th of September, our admissions normally, stay open for 2 weeks after the start of the class. That confidently, because we know that all of our classes are recorded, they're uploaded into the learning management system, they are saved on YouTube for continuous reference, and we have all the materials in the learning management system. So it's not a case of, oh, I missed a class, therefore I've lost everything. You still have it recorded and saved for using technology. So that's something that I hope you all look forward to. And so as we go into this series, I would want us to just basically take notes of action items, things you can implement from day one, as you hear these things, as you engage with this, start applying them in your work. And you can, go to any of our social media platforms to leave a review. If you get something free, a way for you to give back is to leave a review, and then and then use use that as a way to enlighten others on the value of what we're doing here in Max-Migold. So it's important that we hear from you on a regular basis as you engage with our content. Okay. All right. So today, quite it's quite a packed subject. Key elements of facility management. Last week we looked at the introduction to facility management. Today we're looking at the key element. Next week we look at operational strategies. And then we're going to go into FM competencies and so on and so forth. And it's a whole lot to cover on this series. So stay tuned as we run through this series and write your questions down. I'll allow a few minutes at the end of the session for you to be able to, speak out your questions and make your comments. Okay. So 1 hour for you to, grasp the core components of facility management, learn how the elements contribute to the effectiveness of facility operations and the applications on how these elements are applied for effective facility management. So we're talking about just introducing basically the key elements, the 4 of them. We'll now go through them one by one: people, place, process, and technology. And then we'll now, go into how they interact with themselves, and we'll conclude. So basically, that's what we're going to be taking in this session. All right. So last week we introduced facility management, and we say it's multidisciplinary, multifaceted. The job of facility management is to ensure that every organization runs smoothly, seamless operations of organization. That's what we do, right? And to ensure that the organization runs smoothly, we integrate people, process, place, and technology, right? So the 4 elements form the backbone of effective facility management. And if we work them together, we will have an environment that supports the core objective of any organization whatsoever. Because no organization exists without having spaces where it operates, right? And we run the spaces and services, all right? So if the organization is, working well, if things are going well for any organization, facility management is one of that support system, that mechanism for ensuring that is working. Okay, so what we are trying to do in today's session is to get FM integrate the 4 key elements. FMs often get stuck in just one of the 4 elements, which is the place. You are told, oh, there are generators here, there are air conditioners there is this equipment there, cleaning has to be done. And so we just engage with the place, continuously as the work we do. But at that level, at that, point, we are missing out on very high-level considerations of why we are doing what we are doing, right? So if you forget why you are doing what you are doing, you'll not be integrating your work on the place or the assets or physical equipment and the rest that you can see with the lives of the people. Remember that last week we defined FM. The purpose of facility management is to improve the quality of life of people and the productivity of the core business, right? And both of them work together. I can't do one and ignore the other. In fact, if I do one and ignore the other, I failed on both. All right. So this is another pillars work together, seamless and effective facility management strategy. So we're going to explore them and talk through how they add value to the organizations that we serve. Okay. All right, so then we just add a few co-hosts to the meeting, and then all right. Okay, so let's start with the first element. I always like discussing people first because if you think about the facilities we manage, they were not created by themselves for themselves, right? So the assets, the physical equipment, the infrastructure that we manage, they were created all the way from planning to design to construction, installation, whatever process we use to bring them to existence, were created because of the end users, because of the activities of the end users, because of the goals, aspirations, strategic objectives of those who are going to use the facility. So the people make the core, the key of all the four key elements we're looking at. The people is the most critical, right? They're most critical in asset management, because they drive everything around why we do what we're doing. So if we're talking about, developing, creating an environment, a seamless operations, efficient and effective operations, it is because it is meeting the needs of the people. We cannot describe it as efficient and effective. It is not efficient and effective if it does not meet the needs of the people who are going to use it. Okay? So, and there are different levels of people. There are those primarily that we serve, people that we interact with and provide services for. Now, among them, there are those who actually, brought us together, like the owners, the founders, the investors, the, leadership of the organizations. They are on one side, we call them the customers, right? Now, but for us to serve them after we understand what they need, why they are here, what they want to achieve, we now know what we can do to impact on those results for them, to work with another group of people, vendors, workers, whether they're own employees in our own department or outsourced workforce. These are people that we must integrate to fully understand what people A, the owners and users, expect. Because you can't call people in to come and work for you, tell them exactly what you want them to do without showing them why they should do it. Because if they don't know why they should do it, they don't do it well. It is when they understand exactly what the people who are using it and the owners aspire to have, they hope to get, what they are there for. That's when even a plumber, electrician, the carpenter will do their job well. They will know that they have to respect people. They will know they have to do, make good after they do their job. They know that they have to communicate better and so on and so forth, because they understand beyond what they've been asked to do. If you give me a screwdriver and say, go and screw that switch, that socket up in that office, and that's all you told me, I'm just going to go there and screw it and get out, right? But if you make me know that socket serves, customer A, laptop, for example, if the socket is not working, the customer A is not able to work, he does this and that, and he expects he expects the place to be clean, he doesn't want his floor soiled, he appreciates people who don't come in smelling, and so on and so forth. You see, you have elevated my understanding of that simple task. Come and screw a socket, right? You have elevated it to a strategic level. You have made me to understand the kind of environment, the kind of personality, the expectations, everything around just screwing that socket. So if I say I'm coming by 10 o'clock, I know I must come by 10 o'clock. It's not a matter of coming anytime I feel like, because I know beyond the screen of the sockets. I now know who is using it and how important and so on and so forth. And I know that any minute delay is going to delay more superior work and affect, a bigger picture that I don't want to be the one who is creating that kind of negative impact, right? So I look at the people I'm serving. I'm looking at the people that I'm bringing to come and serve. In the people I'm serving, I communicate, cascade that understanding to the people I'm bringing to come and serve, right? With that understanding, I will have less work dealing with escalations and poor customer service and poor finishing and the use of bad materials and all kinds of corruption that goes on in the maintenance process. I would have avoided that because I've communicated expectations correctly. And everybody that's coming to work for me understands exactly not just what they're supposed to come and do and how they're supposed to do it, but why they are doing, right? And then we are not just managing people, right? Sometimes you first think that, oh, it's the equipment I'm managing. I'm the one in charge of all the, right? You are actually in charge of the people. The assets are only a means to an end, satisfying the needs of the people, right? So how do you rate yourself? Oh, the assets are working. Who said that? You might feel the assets are working and you are doing a good job. The equipment are doing fine, so I'm fine. I've done my job as an FM. But no, the perception of those who are you are serving is your final barometer for success. They are the final ones to say, oh, yes, they do very well, or they don't do well. So your thinking abilities is now subordinated to your social integration, communication, and professional abilities to be able to integrate other factors to the work that you are doing. So FM is not typically, not so much of a technical job because what we're even teaching FMs is be the one that can communicate to the technicians what to do, but elevate that to communicate to them why they do it. Once you're able to do that, you're making them FMs along the way because that elevates them to more managerial than just the technical thing that they're even doing. Why you are fully managerial as a facility manager. Okay, so relationships is the core of what we do. Talked about those who use our facilities, talked about those who, paid for the facilities that we are managing for the people who are using it. We talked about those we bring in to come and work. There are also other stakeholders to the facilities that we manage. The communities around you, the regulators, they are all stakeholders that you must have a good relationship with. Facility management is not a job where somebody doesn't like you and you're not bothered. You should resign and leave because if somebody doesn't like you, you have failed catastrophically. So you always work to be in good relationship with everyone. And this is the core of people management. Okay, so there is the expectations from different, there are some things that you want to, you feel is the right thing to do, but you have not communicated with those you are providing it for. You've not sought their inputs into it. If you do it and they don't like it, it is not their fault that they don't like it. It's your fault that you not, develop an SLA by conversing with them and having a negotiated agreement on what their expectations are clearly specified. It is after then you can now go to the services based on what they've told you is their expectations or their requirements. It is only when you have done that you now say, oh, I have done everything they asked me. I have evidence now that I went through the communication process or iterative process to finally confirm what they want before I start providing it. So there's usually going to be that balancing act that takes place where you have certain constraints, because of course you're going to work within certain constraints. There are certain things you can do and certain things you cannot do for your users, right? And not everybody will be in 100% acceptance of what you are offering, right? But the important thing is that you have to understand what management wants, the standards, minimum standards from your professional background, you integrate that, and then the needs of the individuals that you are serving, because you understand what they are trying to achieve. You need to create a careful balance between these three. And when creating this balance, you must be transparent and open in the process. Okay. So effective relationship management involves understanding their unique requirements, providing the necessary support, and ensuring that the facility meets or exceeds their expectation. This is particularly important in fostering a collaborative environment where everyone feels valued and heard. This is the core. This is key to managing people. You hear, before you act. When you finish acting, you hear again, how have I acted? Have I met your needs? Because I acted based on my understanding, which I established by communication and engaging with you. Now that I've done it, I don't want to assume that you are happy with what I've delivered. I engage again. That's it. Okay. So communication and leadership are the key skills for people management. You must have strong communication and leadership skills. Okay. Because communication is the glue that holds all processes together and ensure that everyone is on the same page and that any issues are addressed promptly. Before you get to issues as facility managers, your ability to communicate proactively, which means being how did I get muted? Okay. So it's not enough to say when there are issues, I have an open door, I have access, people can access issue. No, that's not it. People can call me and send me a request for information. I will always provide the information once you ask me. That's not FM. Proactive communication connected with effective leadership requires that you think ahead after identifying the stakeholder, applying all the information the stakeholder will need today, repeatedly, and in the future. Plan how you're going to make that information available to that stakeholder and work that plan continuously. The same thing applies for the information you will need, the approvals you will need. It's not when the chips are down, like we say, things are happening, you now begin to say, oh, I need to tell you this, I need to inform. There should be a structure for getting what you need from your stakeholders. It's not good practice to wait until you are choked before you now go and ask. There should be a standard two-way communication plan that you have put in place. All right. So that's why we say it is a glue. Okay. Leadership in facility management involves guiding your team through challenges, making informed decisions, and inspiring others to work towards common goals. The core of leadership is vision. I have understood my customers, my clients. I know, I have a clear idea of what the gaps are between where they are and where they want to be. I know what I have and what I can deliver and what I'm delivering now. I know what I'm going to be able to deliver in the future. I can establish gap for now and gap for the future. And I can communicate that to those I'm working with to show them this picture of what we are trying to achieve. This is where we are trying to get to. If you're able to communicate that, the expectation is that you move in that direction in a way that it doesn't require micromanaging anybody. Because they understand why thoroughly, the what and the how will become easy for them to implement in a more professional way. So to be, as an effective leader in facility management, you set the tone for a positive workplace culture, right? And this is crucial for success of any organization. Right, so let's talk about processes. Success on the large scale is how the process starts from, how an organization is conceived, or even let's take the property that you're managing. It goes from one activity to another to get to the point where you are now in charge of it. And for everything you do, there is supposed to be a process for delivering the results that you deliver. If you don't have a process, now, by the way, many of you, all of us, to be honest, have a process, but it's in our head, right? So when Mr. A comes to work, he works with his own ideas. Those ideas are his process. When Mr. B comes, he works with his own ideas. If that's what you are doing right now, we will say professionally, you've not defined your process as an organization or as a team. So, but when you get Mr. A and Mr. B to sit down and look at what the same thing that they do and come up with how they do it and streamline to have one common way of doing it, which the organization now adopts, so that whoever is in that position tomorrow will say, we can say, this is how it is done. Follow this pattern to get things done. That's the whole idea of setting process in place. Okay, so everything from maintenance, when there are emergencies, how do we respond, sustainability initiatives, everything is all tied to what kind of thought have we given to how these things should be done, so that we can define them, so that we can agree, so that we can sign them into law, as it were, within our organization, agreed with our customers and our managers and owners of the facilities, as well as other stakeholders that we also interact with. And one way you can achieve this is to have standard operating procedures. They're the backbone of your facility management, operations. We have standard operating procedures, step-by-step instruction on how to perform tasks, ensuring consistency, safety, and compliance with regulations. Step-by-step instructions. By the way, SOPs are not supposed to be handed down and shoved down the throats of the workers. Workers are consulted in the development of SOPs. Somebody is servicing my AC. It does item, it does one task, it does another piece of work, it does another one, and then by the time it's at step 5, it's done with the whole servicing. I observe it. If someone else comes to service my AC tomorrow, and he goes, follows the same order, and carries out activities, with the same precaution, I'll say yes, they are both following the same process, right? But we don't want to leave that to chance. That's the point here. That's why we need to have that AC servicing defined. Just a simple one-page step-by-step of how AC is serviced in the organization. So that when Tech A comes in to B comes in to do it, they do it the same way. That's the whole idea of SOPs. It helps to minimize error, streamline operations, and ensure that every team member understands their responsibilities. We, as facility managers, we are working in an industry where precision and reliability are paramount. This is an industry where, think about it. I had an escalation just this week where somebody moved into, a room, and the room was not properly cleaned. And to me, it was like a shock. What job did we employ the cleaners and their supervisors to do that somebody will now check into a room and the room is not properly cleaned? And then we started looking at the processes. What exactly was done? What exactly should have been done? And then it turned out that the room was actually prepared, but nobody had used it for 2 weeks, right? And because nobody has used it for 2 weeks, the cleaners assume that it is still clean from 2 weeks ago to today. And to me, that was like, we need to revise the operating procedure. Every room must be refreshed on a daily basis, or at least before someone checks in. Re-cleaned, no matter whether it was cleaned before. Add that to the process. And 2, if you have set up a room with sheets, and for 1 week, those sheets were not used, or 2 weeks, those sheets were not used, do not assume that those sheets are still fresh. They might be clean, but they will not be fresh because you've left them in a still locked up room for 2 weeks. Take those sheets out and put fresh sheets for the person to use. Those modifications to the SOP are now going to be implemented to ensure that we get better results next time. That's the whole idea of SOPs. You document, and if it's no longer working, or you realize that something has come up to require a change to what you've been doing, then you go back to that process and you modify. That's how it works. All right, and then there's process optimization and efficiency. You don't just say, this is the process, so that's how we do it. As like this example I gave, as soon as we see a hiccup with the delivery process, with the outcomes, if we find a new change or a new requirement from the customer, Expectations can be adjusted over time by customers. We need to also change our SOPs. We need to optimize them. All the processes need to always be for the exclusive reasons of the users. So optimizing process is crucial for enhancing efficiency and reducing operational costs in FM process. So how do? You evaluate the existing process, you identify bottlenecks and implement improvements to make workflow more efficient. If you, leverage on data, for example, how many times people have complained about something, how many times something negative has happened, you analyze those data, how many times you've been commended, people say, oh, this is very fine, this is working well. All of that data, they help you to look at the process and say, oh, this thing is leading to this positive outcome. Let's keep it in our process. Because of these that we have been doing, we're having some issues. Let's remove it from our process. Okay, so you keep reviewing your process on an ongoing basis, because if you don't, you are going to have issues with meeting the requirements of your cost, the place. Right? Yeah, one of the most critical factors to make the success of an organization is creating an enabling environment for its employees. So we in facility management, we provide not just the place, we also provide services in those places to ensure that the customers can get what they're looking for in terms of utility to get what they want to get done. Okay. And so we are the custodians of the built environment. We maintain the environment because we know that if it's well maintained, in that environment will meet the needs of the customer. We also ensure that we participate in the design and delivery process for the spaces that we manage, right? Because if a space is not functional, it does not help employee productivity. It does not add value to the organization. In fact, it leads to losses on both ends. Losses, the facility has been put in place and it's not a functional effect. And more losses in the payroll, in the salaries that are paid to those who have been in those spaces and are not being productive because it was not properly designed, constructed, and delivered properly, or not properly maintained by custodians of it, right? And then one key area that many FMs have not really elevated themselves to considering is the fact that the physical environment of the organization is a key component of its brand image. Okay, it's crucial for facility managers to ensure that the space aligns with the overall mission and vision of the organization. All right, so get into technology, right? Why people and process are critical to success. Advanced collaboration technology can be truly transformational, right? What do we do with technology? Think about it. The built environment is evolving. It's becoming more sophisticated. You who manage it must also advance in sophistication, be able to understand these new applications that are being built into the built environment so you can manage them effectively, okay? And that means that you also have to adopt advanced sophisticated technology to be able to add value to the facilities that are becoming sophisticated themselves. So technology then brings in process improvement. So all those processes we talked about, it brings in improvement to the processes because it makes your process more efficient. For example, a process step that depends on an individual remembering to do something that's repetitive. When automated with technology, removes the error, the possibility that it will be forgotten. Machines don't forget, humans can forget. If there are things that you need certain data at a certain time to take certain decision, and you have to depend on a manual effort to go and acquire that data. That data may not come in on time, may come in and be inaccurate, and somebody will apologize for the error. But then you've taken a management decision wrongly based on data that either came late or is wrong, right? Technology will take care of that. So when we say if efficiency, it has to do with speed and cost, right? But then it also brings about effectiveness. Effectiveness, when you set up a process, you are aligned to the reason, the superior objective, why you are doing it, why you want to have that data, why you want to have that step taken, without action taken, right? So there's already that alignment. When you integrate that with technology, there is consistent delivery in the direction that you had planned from the onset. So it becomes an indispensable element in modern facility management, transforms how facilities are operated, maintained, and optimized. So if you integrate advanced technologies, it helps to streamline operations, enhance efficiency, and support data-driven decision-making. From automating routine tasks to providing real-time insights, technology empowers facility managers to manage complex environments with greater precision and effectiveness. The role of technology in facility management is not just about keeping up with trends, but about leveraging the right tools to create safe, efficient, and cost-effective facilities. We integrate technology just to ensure that things are better, in terms of safety, efficiency, and effectiveness. So one of the ways we deploy technology is through software, right? What software basically do is take our take our assets, place, we put them together, and we tell the technology for the place, we want ABC done using these processes. And the software creates that platform where the information flows, between the process and the place, and helps you to automate a lot of the things that you have to remember and wake up to every day. It prompts you, it acts on your behalf in many instances. So software tools and data management tools, at the first level of technology. And then buildings, as they become smarter, Internet of Things are created into buildings. This advancement means that we must understand them, right? This session we'll have another session where we're going to talk more about technology. We're going to talk about not just softwares, we're going to talk about smart buildings and IoT, we're going to talk about BIM and digital twins. We're going to understand how exchange of data, consequential actions from control systems that are autonomous. So we set up, buildings are now set up to be able to respond to how cold the environment is. Something reads that data and tells the AC, you don't need to work again, please, it's cool enough, for example, right? Something is able to check on how bright the sun is and say security lights go off. You don't need to. Somebody is able to check and see people are not here. We don't need lights on at this time because nobody's here and things like that. Those integration of a data source from a sensor and a control mechanism, that's what creates smartness. Before smartness, we could take the action from the data source. So the sensor collects information and tells me in the building, the CO2 level is too high. People are no longer having enough oxygen. Then I can manually, push a button to open a damper to allow more fresh air into the building. That is the first level of technology adoption for the building. But once I want to take myself away and make the building smart enough, I now set it and say, if the CO2 level rises to this percentage of the air in that space, sensor, bring that information. I mean, I'm seeing the information, but you're already saying that information to a controller that is connected to the damper. That controller opens the damper, brings in fresh air, is being enriched. And as it's doing that, the sensor is still bringing more information about CO2 levels. And then when the level gets to a certain point where the oxygen level is enriched to that point, the information is available to that controller again to say, you can shut down now. We have enough oxygen in the space. That's the whole idea of smart buildings and IoT. Technology is now used to harness that data and put it to use in an autonomous fashion in a way that I don't necessarily need to interfere. And you can imagine already the kind of advantage that will bring to facility management. Huge the advantage that you get for that, just that. Energy savings, better comfort, more convenient way of using our facility, streamline processes, less manpower, less escalations, all the negative things that we can think about in facilities. We can use technology to, just bring people and place together and create that, environment that gives us efficiency and effectiveness. So let's take a few minutes to now explore how these 4 elements integrate, how they work together. Okay, we started with people and said that's the reason why we do what we do. We went to place the assets and the equipment and we said, yeah, this is the means to the end to meet the needs of the people. And then we went to processes and said the processes define how we meet people's needs, by making their spaces functional, using step-by-step, activities to complete the tasks, well documented and understood by all stakeholders in the system. And then we now enter technology and say, look, if you bring technology in, it helps to speed up how your processes are implemented. It helps to remove human error from the processes that you have. It helps you to streamline your process and remove unnecessary processes. Okay, and it provides more value. It makes your place more functional to meet the needs of your people. But in facility management, there are certain key things that we look out for. The first is people using the spaces safely. You cannot be a manager of facilities and safety is what things are falling apart. Safety, by all, in all ramification, refers to people. If they're able to use the spaces well, and there are no accidents, no injuries, no illnesses, we say the place is safe, isn't it? That the people are having a safe use of the place. So make that possible, we ensure that our processes are streamlined. The audits are done, inspections are done, hazards are identified, corrective measures are taken, and proactive measures are taken to prevent emergencies and incidents and accidents and so on and so forth, because we are focusing on the people, right? Now, in their use of the space, they also need to have comfort. So we talk about ergonomy. We talk about distances between space. I want to go to use the restroom. I don't need to go up 5 floors because all the toilets in this first 4 floors are bad. I have to climb up to 5 floors before I use a toilet, for example. That's not a comfortable way of using the facility. So I'll make sure all the equipment work. That's the place. Now, if you look at the place and the process, we're still trying to meet the needs of the people. Technology ensures the functionality. It's an application to get our processes working, right? And then the place needs to work functional and efficiently as well. So you look at safety, comfort, efficiency, and functionality. These are the outcomes. These are the things I'm trying to provide. These are the things I want to see as the characteristics of my facility management service operations and the delivery I'm giving to the organization, right? So they become the core of my integration of people, place, process, and technology. I give outputs called safety, comfort, functionality, and efficiency. So when I'm looking for what value I am providing in facility management, I must think about these 4 things: safety, comfort, functionality, and efficiency. And I must think about how I achieve them by integrating the 4 elements of facility management. All right. So it's very important that we, think, from a big picture perspective on how these 4 elements are integrated. Okay. People, process, place, and technology do not function in isolation. Their true power lies in how they interact and integrate to create a cohesive and efficient facility management strategy. And like we said, people are the core, driving processes and making decisions that affect the physical environment and implementation of technology. And then processes provide the structured approach to managing facilities, ensuring consistency and efficiency. The place or the physical environment is where these processes are executed, and it must be optimized to support the people who use it. Technology is the enabler, enhancing capabilities of people, streamlining processes, and optimizing the use of the space. So when we integrate these elements, we ensure that we are managing the facilities in a proactive, responsive, and aligned with the organization goals strategically. So let's just talk about a few applications of this integration. Let's think about smart office environments, right? IoTs are used to connect everything. They monitor, they send information to controllers, and then employees benefit from automated lighting, for example, automated cooling, booking systems for rooms that are automated. This enhance, productivity and comfort for the users. And then the processes are streamlined through technology, allowing for efficient maintenance, scheduling, and space utilization. The place is designed with flexibility in mind, aligned for easy reconfiguration of workspaces to meet changing needs. And these integrations makes this facility seamless. You just go into some facilities and you know that this place is different. The way things are run here is seamless. So if you don't have integration of the 4 elements, you are going to be battling fires consistently. Okay. Then talk about sustainable facility operation. Sustainability is all about reducing impact on the environment negatively. The resources we take from the earth in terms of materials, the waste we put back in terms of emissions and effluents and refuse. Facility management focus on sustainability by integrating the 4 elements of facility management to focus on green concepts, green building processes that talks mostly for us. The key aspect of green concept of green building operations is energy, followed by water and materials, and then waste that we give out. So how can we reduce waste? How can we reuse and all of those processes, recycling and the rest? How can we produce water smartly and use water intelligently, not to waste water? How can we use energy efficiently in terms of optimizing and using just enough for the output we want to give out, and also ensure that we get some energy, or if not all of our energy, from renewable sources, instead of depending all entirely on non-renewable sources of energy. We also use integration of these 4 elements when we have to deal with crisis. People have to be well prepared, have to be trained, have to be oriented on our emergency procedures as an organization. So when something happens, people know exactly what they need to do. And then communication is key. If somebody observes a fire here and you have a means of raising an alarm, that alarm is a tool, technology for communicating to everybody that, oh, there's a problem. And then because we have been taught, we know exactly how to move out to the muster point. And then the facilities that we manage must be designed with the right signage, with the right access, tools, elevators, ramps, and the rest, so that there's easy management of that process. So in essence, just thinking about crisis management, you won't be able to manage a crisis if you don't have the right design and maintenance of the space, you don't have the right processes, and you don't have people taught what they should be doing. If you understand the 4 elements of facility management, to be easy for you to talk to your management, make business cases, get approvals for projects, get funding, because you will always consistently use those 4 elements in pushing your value proposition. Value-based strategic facility management talks about alignment with organizational goals at a strategic level, talks about efficiency in resource management, talks about focus and alignment with people's requirements in the organizations, comfort, efficiency, and productivity. And then professional ethics in facility management practice. We have a big deal issue with how FM is perceived. Sometimes we are so nonchalant about how we deliver results for our organization. We just spend. We are not thinking value-based. And then in some cases, we also get our hands dirty with unethical behaviors that cast our profession in bad lights. If you're trying to integrate the 4 elements of facility management, this is one of the key areas that you would excel in: professional ethics in facility management. And then facility management drives the maintenance. We are the coordinators of the physical environment. We are the custodians. By continuously showing value at strategic level, continually being effective in the use of technology, being cost effective, and being efficient in the processes that we deploy, we are going to continually hold the ace when it comes to this huge economy. And by the way, maintenance is almost 25 to 30% of most world economies. We in Nigeria need to start stepping up, showing value, that we understand how these elements integrate, and we can use it to take positions as managers of the economy. All right, so finally, effective facility management it lies in the strategic integration of people, process, and place, and technology. Each element plays a crucial role in its own, but their true value is realized when they work together in harmony. By understanding and leveraging these key concepts, these key elements, 4 elements of facility management, you as a facility manager can create environments that are not only efficient and sustainable, but also adaptive to the evolving needs of organizations. As we continue to advance in this field, the challenge will be to continually innovate and optimize the interaction between these elements, ensuring that our facilities are not just functional, but are assets that contribute to the success and, I dare say, the economy at large. All right, so that's our session for today. I hope you've taken notes. If you have a question, you can use the raise hand functionality. I just need to remind you, these are some of the nuggets from the FM diploma starting on September 9th. So if you've not enrolled for the FM diploma, I would advise that you get your entire team ready for that program. It's a big deal, and I hope that you can be advocates. Those of you who have done it, bring other people in and make a whole lot of difference. Facility management is one profession that has not disappointed anybody that I know, from whatever career background or settings you're coming from. Once you get into facility management, you see yourself in a uniquely advantaged position compared to what your career would have been if you were not in it. So please share the love and spread the good news to others who may not have taken this seriously. Right, so questions? So by the way, the website is promo.facilitymanagementcourses.com. Just put promo.facilitymanagementcourses.com on your status today, and let everybody who see your status click and go into that page and read up and see what we're doing with the careers and lives of people who are taking it. And also go to our social media platforms on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and just connect, stay in the loop, stay in the know of what's going on in the FM industry in Nigeria. If you have questions after this session ends, the facility management training platform on WhatsApp is available. You can chat your questions and get it resolved. You get attention there. We are also on all the platforms where we're joining from. Drop your questions and someone will pick them up and bring them for the conversations. Okay, so that's our session. Hope you have a good week. If you've not connected with me on LinkedIn, please do so. Paul Erubami is my name. Just search me out on LinkedIn and send us a connection request, and I'll definitely accept an open networker on LinkedIn. Till I see you again next week, Thursday. It's bye-bye for now.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. God bless you, sir. Nice to see you. Nice to see your face again. It's been a while.
Yeah. Every Thursday you see me now. Yeah.
All right, sir.
Yeah.